Do you know how difficult it is as when we're in media to not cheer, to not really show the emotion? And I was like, all right, even some of the Pistons PR people were down there, and it was just, okay, keep in check. I know JB Smooth was in the building last night as well. The environment was crazy. The tension, like, you know what? Loss aside, pack that arena out. Yeah. Because that was meaningful basketball. People wanted that. I haven't felt that. There were goosebumps. Cade, those 9 straight points, 6 straight free throws. Dog, everything was epic. And just a second, I know they lost 118-115, but Cade Cunningham, 38 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds on the night for him. And with the NBA trade deadline right upon us, brother, what everybody is saying from social media to the chat is that you got to get this guy some help. It's not a slight on Ivy, who's out right now. Yep. But you saw last night, you got to get him some help, especially in contrast with some of these trades going on. You know where people's minds instantly went? A bunch of former Pistons, right? Got traded for Brandon Ingram, and now Scotty Barnes has help. They were drafted in the same year. The notion of waiting, to me, I don't know if you do that, especially when you paid Cade. If you have a chance to go out there and get somebody, man, I would have liked to see that. But so much going on, so much emotion. Yeah. Just your thoughts on this game first, man. That was a tough one.
Oh, well, my thoughts on this game was that it happened again. It was another game where Cade, for large stretches, didn't have his best shooting game. But when it came to money time, like what happened against the Hawks, he ties the game, and then it's rendered moot because Trey Young's heroics. And then
12 points the last 5 minutes and 30 seconds for Cade.
And then last night, Cade Cunningham did even more at the end of the game, basically willing the team back damn near by himself to tie the game. There were points where I thought it was over when it was, I think it was 112 to 106, where I damn near turned the game off because I was getting home from the Michigan game, and I caught the end, and it was just unbelievable. All of the clutch free throws that Cade Cunningham made, I don't know why they kept fouling him behind the three-point line, but he made every single one of them. He willed this team back by himself, and his heroics were deemed moot by Darius Garland. It's a cruel game. Those games last night should have been one of Cade Cunningham's all-star season moments, because what he did towards the end of the game in the clutch, 21 points in the fourth quarter, 9 straight points to end the game against the number 1 seed in the East, Cleveland, without Donovan Mitchell, by the way, but still. But unfortunately, when you leave time on the clock, sometimes stuff like that just happens. It's just, I am gutted by last night. I'm more gutted than I should be. And I'm not saying that it's over. I'm not saying that, they're not going to beat Philly and Charlotte, but that would have been a really nice one to have.
It would have been really nice, because let's make sure the record is set straight here, especially when it's about the NBA trade deadline perspective. You look at what it looks like. They didn't have Donovan Mitchell. In the past, you probably say, hey, if their star player's not playing, we have a shot. What we saw last night was Cade Cunningham, 1 new All-Star versus 2 All-Stars, Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, and a nice cast of NBA rotation-level players starting and coming off the bench. And when you look at the stats, it was effectively Cade Cunningham and Tim Hardaway Jr. Really carrying the scoring load for the Pistons. I think with 58 points between them on the night. It's just too much. The whole notion of bringing Cade Cunningham's usage down, you don't do that with just rotation players. That makes his usage stay up. He can't bring the usage down, because he's still going to have to be the one to make all the plays happen for those types of players. If you get somebody who could be ball dominant, whether you think they're efficient or not, those types of players are still going to do things like get foul calls. They're still going to absorb a certain amount of gravity. They're still going to make it more difficult for a defense to think, oh, do we stay with Beasley? Do we stay with Cade? Do we stay over here? And then when Cade goes to the bench, you have a player that can do a lot of the things that we saw Jaden Ivey starting to grow into. I do believe that it's important for the Pistons, even though they're exceeding expectation right now, to still keep that pedal down to the floor and try and get all that you can get. That's just what I get out of JB Bickerstaff, is that he wants his team to have all that they can have. Like, so why hold back if you could have facilitated something at this trade deadline?
Well, that's what, and I know that this just burned you inside because you don't like Scotty Barnes. Kool-Aid does not like Scotty Barnes.
And he got the player we've been talking about for like the last year and a half. Remember, we on this show, we were like, look, I've been hearing the Pelicans as a team to watch, and Brandon Ingram as a name, and then the rumors started coming up, and the reports were there, and then Scotty Barnes, like,
and this is just in a vacuum. Let me vent a little bit, because we all know that the trade deadline isn't over. We don't know what this deal is going to end up becoming, because we all know Brandon Ingram has had a very prodigious recent injury history. However, why does Scotty Barnes get Brandon Ingram? Why does Scotty Barnes get Brandon Ingram and Cade Cunningham does not yet? Why does Scotty Barnes get Brandon Ingram and Cade Cunningham gets a Jaden Ivey having a fluke broken leg? It's just, it's an unfair game, and I'm not trying to whine too much, but Scotty Barnes, I don't dislike him nearly as much as Kool-Aid does, and he's a very good player. But quiet as kept, Scotty Barnes is, in my opinion, a big reason why the Raptors are just a bad team record-wise, because as much as Scotty Barnes is a very good all-around player, he shoots his team out of games all the freaking time. 5 3-point attempts per game, 26%.
Preach it.
And he gets Brandon Ingram.
Bust the narratives, because I was just over here just looking at Flannel over there, just waxing poetically, because Cade lost Rookie of the Year to that man, because I was told that Scotty Barnes made a bigger impact on his team, winning games, than Cade Cunningham. How silly. How silly. This is the reason why I was screaming for it back then. Oh, awards don't matter. They do matter. And these players step to the podium, I hear them, and they state, yes, it matters. Obviously, they're not going to let it define their career. But what they're allowing it to do now is push them to new heights, because Cade does look like a man on a mission. I don't believe people understand. The Pistons were right there with the opportunity to push this thing to overtime because of Cade Cunningham. Just Cade Cunningham. Do you know how thin a margin it was for him to even become an all-star this season?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we're talking about now one certified all-star out there, but he willed this team, and that's where you're right. We got to be fair. We got to be fair, because the trade deadline's not over, and they are exceeding expectations. So we do got to put that in perspective. Yeah. There's a lot that Trajan Langdon has done, because I'm not trying to indict Trajan Langdon at this trade deadline. There's a lot that Trajan Langdon has done right, okay? They're not in this position without what he's already done. You know, you pick up a Ron Holland, who I know Troy Weaver had #1 on his board, but Trajan Langdon also was very, very high on him as well. You get Tobias Harris, you get Malik Beasley, you get Tim Hardaway Jr., you get a team that's in postseason play most of the season. Most of the season, man, and have gone on some little heaters. They're responding well. He was able to bring in and put together a nice front office as well. So I'm not going to act like all that just didn't happen just because at this trade deadline right now, it's not necessarily looking the way that I would it to look. But I want to be able to, JB, if you don't, I was about to say JB Bickerstaff. JB Smooth, let's read these super chats. I know we got another segment of this, man, because we got to break down this NBA trade deadline. You know, we got to talk about what the Pistons did yesterday, because some people are a little miffed. There's some things I see what they're lining up here, but do you realize that they traded for 3 6'6" players yesterday?
Yeah, they did. And just one statement, and I believe this to my core. Before JB, you read the super chats. If Cade Cunningham were on the Raptors, they would be in play-in position right now. I believe that,
and he would have Brandon Ingram right now.
I believe that to my core. That is why he's better than Scotty Barnes. If you give Cade Cunningham, Grady Dick, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, they're going to be in play-in position. I'm not necessarily saying that they would be one game under 500, but they would at the very least be in the 10 seed right now. And the Raptors are toiling at 16-35. And even if Brandon Ingram were fully healthy, I still don't think that he's going to do much for them this year in terms of even making the play-in. Because Scotty Barnes, as I said before, despite all that he does well, and he is a very good player, is shooting his team out of games night in and night out.
You know what? What friends we got to say what up, though, to JB Smooth, because I want to be able to jump right back into this. Obviously, NBA trade deadline is today at 3 o'clock. I am hitting people up. I'm keeping my ear to the ground. We might go live at 4 o'clock, so that'll be an hour after the trade deadline. You do that because sometimes trades settle. And I need you guys to make sure you're tapped into E&E from 2 to 4 on Woodward Sports Network as well. So let's get those super chats.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Let's say what I've done to some friends.
Yeah, let me read off these super chats. Shout out to Burn once again. He was in the house last night. He says, with $10 super chat, he said, I was there maybe if half the Pistons fans didn't leave with 10 minutes left. They have influenced some Cavs shots because my ears hurt in those final seconds. The arena was dangerous potential. I have to agree with him at that. It was really epic as well too. I don't know why the super chats aren't popping up on the screen, but I'll still read them off anyway. $5 again from Burn. After half the fans left the arena was one of the loudest I've been in. Imagine if that was the playoffs as well too. And Koolaid, before I read merch, I think I want to show you this fan reaction that we got from Darius Garland's last shot, and I think you know them.
Don't make that.
Hey, Kid Koolaid and Junior Koolaid. Yeah, they got some content. I told you guys they got some stuff on the way. They're gonna get those chairs, those bar chairs, stools out the way next time. But you know, they set up their own little green screen area. They really care about this stuff. If you saw Kid Koolaid, he even has on a custom jersey that you know, he helped make himself. Like in Junior Koolaid got on the Grant Hill jersey. When I tell you about the Grant Hill jersey and the shoes that my grandma bought me, the shoes are long gone, but the jersey lives on. So all my kids have worn that jersey. So you know, it's faded, but it will stay in the family as long as possible. Shout out to you, Jacob Smooth. You took me, man.